Celestine Ranney-Howes, and this is my studio, Studio Celestine. I'm located in the Easy Storage Art Studios. Who thought Easy Storage had art studios? But they do. We're on Rhode Island Avenue, 4303, with bottom floor facing the street. So it's a lovely space. I've got lovely windows, as you can see, although I only see the auto body shop across the way. But I do get to watch people a lot. I am a fabric artist, and I do just about everything there is to do with fabric, and I'm always looking for new things. As you can see here, I do bowls and vases out of fabric, and dolls. I have iPad covers and bowls again. I also do small, what I like to call fabric paintings. So you can see I've got all different things here that I've done. I also do wearable art. This was a man's extra large t-shirt that I made into a little dress. I just love the Elvis picture. I also make little jackets. This one I just finished last week. It's based on a Japanese hoppy coat. I added a pocket because everybody loves pockets. The design on the back is a Hawaiian quilt pattern for the lehui blossom. And just for fun, I added a little plumeria onto the pocket. This one is made out of mostly Hawaiian fabrics. I was raised in Hawaii, so I like it. And this was in memory of my mother, because I used some of these same fabrics on a lap quilt for her after her stroke. So it's kind of special to me. And this hoppy coat, I used a heart pattern. Love this fabric. Thought I'd echo the colors in multiple hearts. As I said, I also do these small art quilts or fabric paintings of various and sundry different subjects. I have series of sailing, hearts, butterflies, and flowers, all of which are indigenous to Maryland. And every once in a while I'll try a portrait. I also do fabric dyeing and painting. This was an experiment I did recently on silk organza. It was kind of fun. I hadn't done anything like that before, so hoping to do more.
What are all the books?
The books are all my art books, and not art books. I have an entire library at home of art books, but these are books I use for my various and sundry projects here. I have a lot of art quilting books, basic sewing books, how to make dolls books, patterns, designs, things along that. And then I also use it to store, on this side, office supplies, and on the other side I have beads and buttons. This hat I actually found in a thrift store because I'm also a costume designer, and I use this in an Ethiopian play. I just think it's rather wonderful. As you can see, I do costumes. This is a costume I made for a friend who is part of a Middle Eastern dance troupe. This is based on a Turkish dancer's costume with some alterations. The embroidered part was actually from a robe from Turkey that I took apart and put into the sleeves and the front panel. Hopefully she'll be able to dance in public soon and can wear it. I also do, as I said, I do dolls. This doll is my Hawaiian doll. I made her when my mom had a stroke. She was sort of my art therapy. I rather love her. This is basically supposed to be a shawl, and it's made out of just a leaf shape in different colors with a wonderful button that was made by a ceramic artist. And on the wall you can see some more wall hangings, art quilts. The one directly ahead is an Oreo, like the Baltimore Orioles, and flying over brand new sunflowers before they've gone yellow while they're still green. This one I did as a celebration of Prince George's, and it says on it, although it's a little difficult to read, the beautiful colors of humanity. I wanted to show the diversity of our county and how wonderful we are. And of course the green, because I live in Greenbelt. A mermaid, just because. And this one actually is titled Greenbelt in Autumn. And I did it when I was looking out my window, just because I love all the colors of the leaves and how much excitement there is in that and how beautiful all of that is. I am at present working on a little project here. This is going to be, when it's all finished, a dog-themed apron. I found this fabric, I loved it, with the little doggies. You can see their little faces and their little doggy butts. And it made me laugh, so I thought, well, it'd be fun to make an apron out of it. And of course, we have the dog paw print. I need to finish the binding on it. And then it will be a little apron, which I think is wonderful.
Tell us about all your equipment.
Ah, my equipment here, what I have. I have a fully equipped shop, which is kind of fun. This machine here is called a serger, and it does that inside of your t-shirts when you look at them, or your shirts. Let's see if I can find it on my own stuff. Probably not, but you can see it on here. It finishes off the seam so that when you wash the fabric, it doesn't ravel out. And you'll see it in most things that are done in the commercial world, so it makes it nice. It makes it easier to take care of your clothing, especially if it's something like an art cloth piece that you want to keep. So that's what this machine does. This is my sturdy old sewing machine that I got as a college graduation present, so it's been around for a long time. It's a Bernina 830. It has sewed hundreds and hundreds of costumes and many, many, many other things. It's a sturdy machine and is still holding up like nobody's business. My iron, my students used to call the iron with the IV. It's a industrial steam iron with a hanging water supply that is filtered down, so you don't have to buy special water. It will just do it for you, and it's something I've used my whole life. This is
got all kinds of ironing accessories.
Yes, ironing accessories, sleeve boards, ham. This is so you can, so when you need to do something curved, something that goes over a shoulder or a bust or a hip, you use that to keep that curve nice and neat, clean. Various and sundry other things. Water in case I need to spray it. This is my newest acquisition. I kind of love it. It's an industrial sewing machine. It's old. It's the kind of sewing machine I learned when I was an undergraduate at the University of Hawaii. So it only does a straight stitch. It's not very fancy, but it'll sew through just about anything. And recently I've been doing some canvas work. So I need the power, and it's very powerful. I have threads here for the serger. I have, these are a lot of templates I use for quilting, for cutting, and I have a cutting, rotary cutting mat and ruler. And this also is a fairly new acquisition. This is a pressing machine. Used to be used a lot for pressing shirts, men's shirts. I use it for fusing fabrics. Fabrics now have, you can get a material that is basically a heat-sensitive glue that comes out in fabrics, and you cut it to the shape you want, put the fabric onto it, put it in here, and it fuses it. You don't have to spend hours at the iron pressing it.
And this table is a pretty important part of your equipment too, right?
Yes, this is my cutting table. It was originally one of my studio mates' table. It's an IKEA kitchen counter or island, I guess. Actually, it's very heavy. And you can ask the people who've had to move it 3 times for me how heavy it is. But it is very important because this is where I do all of my cutting for different things, how I get things made. I was lucky to have a spouse who knows how to do carpentry, and so I have now an extension. So if I have wide fabric, some fabric comes in 56, 60, 102 inches wide, so this 3.5 foot table doesn't always cut it. So I use this. This is a great way to have an extension, and when I don't need it, it simply goes away. So.
And this is your wall of fabric.
This
here
is my wall of
behind you.
fabric. Right now, this is the canvas projects I've been working on for a sailboat. So sometimes I do things that aren't art. Sometimes I do things that just help pay the rent. And that would be what this is, but I have a lot of that. Yes, this is my fabric wall. It's well known in the fabric world and in the sewing world that she who dies with most fabric wins. And we are all a little bit of fabricaholics. Even with that, when I moved last August from a different studio to this one, I gave away 10 boxes of fabric, and I still have this much. So you can imagine how much fabric I have. I also have here boxes of ribbons and lace, because I do a lot of costumes too, so I often need those things.
How long have you been collecting it?
How long have I been collecting? Well, I started sewing when I was 14, and I think it's just been going on ever since then, so a very long time. And the problem with fabric is everyone who knows fabric will tell you, if you see a fabric you like and you don't buy it, when you go back the next time it will be gone. So we tend to be very hoarding instinct because of that. So we want to make sure we have that fabric when we want it. The little dog fabric, for example, when I went back to the store to look again, it was all gone. So it does do that. That does happen. In my quilting, I use a lot of batiks, and I have several boxes of those. A lot of them are small pieces because I don't necessarily need big pieces for a quilt. So I can use bit by bit, piece by piece, and build something. For example, this art quilt is an aqueduct. It's based on a photo I took of an aqueduct in Baltimore City, and I think one of the remaining ones in Maryland. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of little pieces that I use in this, including what I use for the leaves, which I call thread art. And I have a bowl that I made from that. Because I use a lot of colored threads and multicolored threads, I save the pieces I cut off at the beginning and end, and I put them into a container, and then this is pressed between 2 pieces of washable embroidery sheets. So you put them on to support the embroidery, you stitch the heck out of it, and then you get it mostly wet and shape it. Well, I just used those pieces, washed out all of the embroidery, and used them for my leaves. The tree branches and things, those are made out of cording. I also use yarn. And my most recent piece this piece, sorry I wandered away, This piece is based on a sunset picture I took last December at Indian Head River at the state park. And this was based on little bushes, little furry bushes, winter bushes, and I used unraveled yarn for that. There's ribbon in here, yarn, and of course lots and lots of little bits of tiny fabric sewn, stitched over, and fused.